boy, flash my lights, I flash them bright. Flashy with all my might. It is the signal of my ride, which is strange. Get off my line.
Major contact. Both drivers veering off. Welcome to the Ardennes Forest, deep into the night for a spine-tingling Spooktacular GT3 race here at Spa-Francorchamps. Under the floodlights, the legendary circuit offers zero forgiveness, and with a grid packed with drivers testing their limits in these challenging conditions. On the front row, it's an all BMW affair. Harris and Laurent led the pack, with Paczykowski's Mercedes hovering in P3. Ready to strike. The lights are out, green flag, and the 24-car field hurtles down into the dark. We are underway for what promises to be an evening of high stake into La Source funnel. A tight, anxious ball.
Still there. On your left. It looks like Harris crashed in La Source.
Getting physical with Ferron, desperate to gain track position before the monumental climb up the hill to Eau Rouge. It is Laurent in the BMW who assumes the lead now, pulling clear along the Camel Straight.
Left side.
Further back, Kovic already aggressive in the BMW. He's flashing his lights incessantly at Paczykowski. And the move is on. Kovic pulls to the inside, forcing Paczykowski to defend wide on the approach to Lescom. He's seizing the moment.
He has absolutely threaded the needle there.
A breathtaking move, pixel perfect from the young challenger. And here comes another one. Mihaila, another BMW, now flashing his lights aggressively at Paczykowski. Trouble up front, Laurent and Wipakovic is spinning. He's lost it, the momentum is gone, and he plunges down the order after that unnecessary contact between the two leading teams.
Well, you absolutely love to see two leaders tripping over each other in the first minute of the race. Laurent continues, but Wipakovic has dropped right back. It just shows you how difficult it is to judge those gaps in the dark. And Daniel Bourne, who started at the very back, has already gained places just by...
We go further back, and there is more contact. Kevin is rear-ended and sent spinning violently. A war of attrition.
That looked like a complete misjudgment under braking. Kevin is now rejoining the track.
Look at Wipakovic trying to make amends for his spin, now driving with absolute fury, shoving Robinson in the Ferrari wide to try and snatch back some lost positions. He is not being polite tonight. He darts to the outside, hoping to use the momentum through the complex of corners. Side by side into Rivage. Robinson is fighting hard to keep this spot. Robinson pulls away convincingly. Wipakovic remains stuck in P16.
Meanwhile, Daniel Bourne, the McLaren, starting at the very GT, stealthily chasing Petkov in the Porsche. It's a masterclass in clean, opportunistic riding.
Bourne is right on him. This is a fascinating battle for what is quickly becoming the Bourne dives to the inside of the bus stop chicane. A very late brave lunge under braking at dark. And he makes the overtake. Bourne gains P12. He's been patient. He's been clean, and he has rapidly climbed the order. One lap is done, and what a manic, chaotic, action-packed tour of Spa there was. This circuit is truly living up to its legendary reputation. Even back in the mid-pack, Wipakovic is still fighting it out intensely with Robinson. He desperately needs to get past this Ferrari.
And look at
Morozov. He sees the hesitation ahead and attempts an overtake on both Wipakovic and Robinson. This is a three-wide move, heading into the fastest section of the track.
unbelievable commitment.
Through Eau Rouge, Morozov takes a very aggressive shortcut, cutting the apex. Oh, there's a Lexus in the wall on the Kemmel Straight, more debris, and amidst the chaos, Bourne executes another clean over.
Bourne had the momentum, but Conley just outbraked him.
Bourne had to back out of that or risk running wide. That Porsche just had a little bit more braking stability there, which is often the case on these slower speed corners when you are running.
Bourne is on the radio!
Yellow flag
Sounds
sector 2.
frustrated after losing that place back to the Porsche. He knows he needs to be aggressive, but also needs to keep the car clean to move forward from P13. Back in the pack, Morozov is engaged in a tight fight with the two BMWs of Harris and Wipakovic. The BMW drivers are relentless.
Oh, a small touch on the rear by Harris. Morozov is lucky to have kept that straight. When you are fighting these BMW drivers, you absolutely have to expect that little bump.
So tight around Pujon, the sweeping left-hander. These drivers are running right on the limit of adhesion, millimeters from the... Wipakovic is all over Harris, teammate or not. BMW flashing lights, and then a massive dive bomb through the left-hand corner. What a desperate move. And both BMWs have just pushed Morozov out of the way, effectively forming a BMW blockade to seize track position. That was coordinated. Wipadkovic is now up to P14 recovering ground. Harris is just ahead in P13. The aggression is paying off, but at what cost to their tyres and bot? After all that chaos and attrition, Daniel Bourne is now quietly making his way into the top 10. The survival specialist is benefiting hugely from the poor driving standards elsewhere. Bourne's on the radio again. He is
Communicating his concerns to the people. The track is filthy. The ground is everywhere after the big crash. Tell me where the grip is. He's demanding real-time updates on the surface conditions, trying to adapt his line to avoid the marbles and maintain his pace.
15 minutes remaining, 15 minutes to go.
Continues to chase Conley in the Porsche. The action has been non-stop in these opening laps. Yet the remaining leader in the BMW is checking out in the front. Well,
clear of the fighting behind.
Look at this camera angle on Conley's car.
Track limits.
along the Kemmel straight they go. Bourne uses the
Slips accident. Who is off in the background? Another car spins at high speed on the main straight.
It must have been Harris, who we saw driving so aggressively just moments ago. He's now dropped right back. Meanwhile, Wipadkovic has quickly closed the gap to Bourne, suggesting the pace of that BMW is immense when it's running clean air. Bourne needs to be careful. He's now getting pressure from both ahead and behind. It's like being squeezed in a vice.
Dom and Harris are now side by side for P14
and P15. Another internal squabble amongst these frantic drivers.
Harris makes the overtake, but it was aggressive. He just squeezed Dom wide onto the runoff on the exit. Again, this is the pattern of this race. Maximum aggression, minimal cut.
Bourne is shouting something out of his window. He is furious with the driving standards around him. He's slightly screaming, "Hold your line, for goodness sake!" This race is clearly testing the composure of even the most controlled drivers. Conley is now 1 second in front of Bourne, and he in turn is chasing White in the other McLaren. This is a crucial
point for the tail end of the top six, and it's a strategic grouping. Bourne needs to get past Conley to join his teammate and fight for higher points.
Sector 1 is yellow.
Absolutely looming large in Conley's mirrors. Conley needs to break free of Bourne if he wants to focus on White. But that
Side tyres are
McLaren has
cold.
such good straight line speed tonight. If Bourne can get a clean run through the tricky sector 2, he'll be in
Sector
a
3 is
fine
yellow.
position to attack on the next straight.
The Kemmel straight. The tension is palpable. You could cut the atmosphere with a rear wing end plate. He needs to execute the move now before Wipadkovic joins the fray.
Bourne with a good run out of the bus stop, launching himself towards the source. The McLaren is finding grip where others are struggling.
0.53.
Through the source they go. Bourne will need to get a really good, clean run out of this corner to put pressure on Conley in the fast part of the track. If he fits the apex too aggressively, he loses that crucial exit speed.
And the momentum.
Bourne is right in the slipstream. This is the perfect position for the upcoming overtake. The strategy here is crucial. Best to hang back through Eau Rouge.
Can they use the high-speed toe to launch a lunge along the Kemmel straight? Hitting maximum speed just before this com. They're going wheel to wheel into the abyss, and neither one is willing to blink. This is high-speed chess in the dark. Second time trying this, and it's the same
Position as before.
Side by side, they go through the complex of corners.
Contact!
Oh, Bourne in the gravel. He's off the track.
P4 has gone off in
He's
Lake
back on track, but that's the second time he's compromised his race trying to force a move here. Conley is now flashing a sir in the Mercedes ahead, trying to immediately reach. Wipadkovic, that lurking threat, has rapidly closed the 2-second gap that is now right from the back of Bourne. Bourne made a mistake trying to force that overtake. Wipadkovic is absolutely right to take advantage.
Of the dirty air and the compromised McLaren.
That BMW looks positively spooky, lurking in the shadows with those angry headlights, waiting to pounce on the unsuspecting McLaren ahead. Wipadkovic right on Bourne's tail. He's sensing Conley is off, spinning around the high-speed Pujon corner. Another casualty. Wipadkovic hits Bourne from
Behind, a little shove in the
Sector 2
rear.
is clear.
Bourne miraculously keeps it on the track. While
Wipadkovic is cutting across the gravel trap and the grass to avoid a larger collision. That was a cheap
Bourne can breathe easier now for a few corners. Wipakovic rejoins further back, but he hasn't lost much time, and crucially, he's avoided damaging that front wing. Bourne needs to report that contact.
Bourne is now in P9, but Wipakovic clearly has far more pace in that BMW, and will be back shortly if Bourne doesn't improve his X. Up ahead,
Isla, the self-appointed Karen in the BMW, is relentlessly flashing Pachakowski, who's now running in P2. Out of the bus stop, and the flashing resumes with full intensity. It's like a high-beam disco party on track. Trying to distract him with more flashing as they enter La Source. This is pure intimate contact. Mihaila rear ends him. That was deliberate.
Both still on track, but Pachakowski's Mercedes is clearly unsettled. He's weaving to try and break the toe, but Mihaila is right there with more frantic flashing.
Up through Eau Rouge. Pachakowski has his hands full trying to keep this Pachakowski caught a slide, but contact, major contact. Both drivers veering off straight into the barriers.
Pachakowski's on his roof. Both their races are over. Absolute carnage. Mihaila has got his finger caught flush. What an astonishingly poor display of racecraft from Mihaila. He was clearly blinded by rage, and now the safety car surely has to be
cold tyres all round.
The others are
Through all that insanity, he's now up into P7. He's keeping his nose clean and maximising every misfortune that occurs ahead. This race is proving to be less about
speed and more about preservation.
He's been slowly catching Osara in the Mercedes in front, and now he is firmly in range. This whole section of the race is defined.
Osara is clearly being held up by Waite, his teammate in the McLaren. It's a team effort trying to bottleneck the pack and protect the position.
Osara is on the radio. He is shouting at his team, demanding to be let pass or to get the team to instruct White to yield.
Honestly, Alex, I am not impressed with this race. The Karen BMW is a terrible
Driving standards, the lack of spatial awareness. It's clear a lot of these drivers need a serious reality check on race etiquette.
Bourne is just 1 second back from Osore. He smells the opportunity to move into the top
5. And the drama continues. Wipakovic is just a second back from Bourne. Here comes the next round of highly impressive battles.
From a strategic standpoint, Bourne needs to overtake
Osore as quickly as possible. If Wipakovic gets to Osore first, he'll likely use him as a battering ram. And Bourne doesn't want...
Bourne is on the radio to his team. Confirmed Wipakovic is coming fast. Can I trust the grip through the chicane?
He's asking for confirmation of the closing speed and checking on those track conditions to nail his braking. Coming up to the bus stop chicane. Bourne has been so good under braking here, but the price of error is so high. He needs precision, not power at this point of the lap.
Yellow flag.
Wipakovic is catching this group.
Quickly, that BMW is carrying incredible speed through the high-velocity corners in Sector 2, and the closing rate on Bourne is immense. Bourne needs to drive defensively but cleanly.
We're now officially over halfway through this chaotic, thrilling GT3 sprint race at Spa. It has been non-stop action. Laurent is way ahead, cruising to victory. Elhoff is in P3 in the Mercedes, White in the McLaren P4, Osora P5, Bourne P6,
Wipakovic P7, Costa P8, Morozov P9. The points position.
Osora with a great run out of Radion. He's got the momentum now.
He's all over White. This is the internal McLaren-Mercedes fight that Bourne needs to capitalise on. Osa looks to the inside, getting his Mercedes planted on the track. And he makes the overtake.
Osara squeezes past White for P4. A clean, decisive move that elevates the Mercedes driver and frees up the pace slightly in the front of this chasing pack. Bourne will be delighted to see that fight ahead.
White is on the radio. He is absolutely livid at his teammate, who clearly did not offer any defence against Osuri.
Meanwhile, the battle is brewing intensely behind. Bourne and Wipakovic are about to cook nose to tail as they begin another lap of this dark, unforgiving circuit. Wipakovic has learned nothing from his earlier contact, and Bourne knows he is in for a fight that may involve bumps.
BMW is catching quickly. Bourne is slightly compromised.
Running in White's dirty air, which Wipakovic that last half second. Bourne needs to be hyper aware of his braking points now. If he makes a small error, Wipakovic will dive inside. We saw the BMW speed is simply frightening.
the BMW is so fast on the straight. Weepadkovic has the momentum. The speed advantage is clear.
Left side tyres are cold.
Weepadkovic needs the inside line here into the bus stop to complete the move cleanly. Bourne is defending hard down the middle of the track. Bourne gives him the room, a sensible defence inviting the move.
Weepadkovic runs off the track. Bourne sees the mistake and comes back immediately.
Still there.
And Bourne is pushed wide by Weepadkovic, who is aggressively rejoining the track.
Bourne had the line, but Weepadkovic completely forced his way back on.
Into La Source. Weepadkovic needs a perfect exit here for Eau Rouge, the only chance to properly put Bourne under pressure on the climb.
Bourne has a much better exit, capitalising on Weepadkovic's poor line choice through the final corner. He's pulling out a small but vital gap as they enter the famous valley.
Bourne comes ready on, getting extremely close to the limit, but crucially maintaining his lead up the hill. Weepadkovic is struggling to match the McLaren's grip.
Weepadkovic is complaining furiously over the radio. He believes Bourne gained an
Unfair advantage by running wide through Redillon. Bourne is driving defensively, right on the edge of what is permitted on track boundaries. He was basically saying that McLaren has to...
penalty. But from our perspective, Bourne gets 2 wheels barely within limits as the straight.
White is now P5 and Bourne is 1.5 seconds back, still holding P6. The pace seems to be dropping slightly for Bourne now, possibly due to tyre degradation.
Or maybe he's just driving incredibly defensively to neutralise the BMW threat behind him.
Bourne is slow here. He's deliberately checking up, trying to break the toe and manage the gap, forcing Weepadkovic to make a mistake by going for a dive bomb from too far back. It's smart, defensive racing.
And Weepadkovic almost rear ends him. He was caught completely off guard by Bourne's early braking.
Bourne is just braking so early. It's infuriating for the car behind because you have to constantly manage your gap rather than focusing on your...
This is clearly frustrating Weepadkovic, who relies on high-speed momentum. Bourne is taking all the high-speed sections and forcing Weepadkovic into slow tactical moves.
Again, can Weepadkovic make the overtake at the bus stop? This is his best chance.
The BMW of Weepadkovic is flashing. What is that Karen doing? Just racing cleanly.
Honestly, Alex, this strategy of flashing to bully someone out of the way is the worst kind of racecraft. It demonstrates a lack of ability to set up a proper overtake. It relies solely on intimidation, and it frankly pisses me off.
Still flashing.
His strategy is just to bully Bourne out of the way. Bourne is holding his nerve incredibly well under this intense, obnoxious pressure.
Once again, Weepadkovic almost rear ends Bourne, proving he's looking less at the rear of the McLaren and more at his indicator stick. This is becoming farcical. Flashing down the straight again. Bourne needs to keep his cool and just focus on hitting his apexes. Do not let the intimidation break your concentration. Weepadkovic cuts the corner at Redillon, taking far too much liberty with the curbs. He has to give that time back.
Bourne is pulling away a little now, maintaining the gap through the technical sections. The McLaren is behaving better on these worn tyres, while the BMW seems to be sliding slightly, especially under braking and through the long sweepers.
Bourne is catching wide ahead, but
Weepadkovic is absolutely not leaving Bourne alone. The two are glued together like magnets.
It looks like Connolly has gone off in Blanchimont.
Weepadkovic is looking for any way past. He's trying the outside, he's trying the inside, but Bourne is positioning that McLaren perfectly through the bus stop. He's using all the defensive lines he has learned tonight.
Bourne is making that McLaren feel incredibly wide. He's using the track boundaries perfectly to ensure Weepadkovic has no clean line to attack. This is textbook defensive driving, aggressive but legal.
Weepadkovic resorting to flashing again. What a Karen! The desperation is peaking. He looks to the inside, but Bourne keeps the position under heavy braking. Fantastic defensive.
Weepadkovic runs into the crowd on the exit.
He went in too deep, completely compromised his line and lost vital time. That impatience just cost him his primary attacking opportunity.
Spooktacular on the radio. He is shouting at Bourne, demanding a penalty for allegedly forcing him wide. The irony is lost on him, having bumped 3 cars earlier in the race. Bourne simply drove a brilliant defensive line to maintain the position into the final stages.
We're coming up to the last lap very soon, but Spooktacular only has a few corners left to make a clean move.
He'll need the perfect lap here to execute an aggressive but fair overtake. Paul just needs to survive this lap and keep that McLaren straight.
More exits to the source, and they are catching a large pack. We have Elhoff and Azari in the Mercedes in P3.
4, White in the McLaren in P5, Bourne P6, Will Spooktacular P7, all separated by less than 3 seconds.
Here we go, it is the last lap. The tension has been building all race, and now it crests. Everything is on the...
Can Bourne keep the position with Spooktacular breathing down his neck? The BMW's right there ready to pounce on any mistake Bourne might make on this final tour. Through running on for the last time. Full commitment is needed here. No room for error or second thoughts in the high-speed
Ahead
one.
is now 1.2.
Laurent is clear by over 30 seconds. He's rounding the final corners, completely isolated from the incredible drama behind him.
Laurent has been cruising out front. He's probably fallen asleep at times, completely unaware of the absolute carnage taking place in his wake. A lonely but utterly dominant victory.
Meanwhile, the battle rages on further back, specifically for P3. This
Is absolutely nail-biting stuff.
It's Earlhoff, Osura, in pits E, and vital vying for the podium position. Osura is desperate to get ahead of his teammate and Earlhoff. This final
Sector is going to decide who stands on that final step.
They're catching a back marker. This is the worst possible moment. Earlhoff is flashing aggressively to get out of the way, trying to avoid being checked up by the slower car. The back marker cannot afford to hold up this intense fight. Earlhoff on the radio. He's screaming about the back marker. His focus broken just before the crucial braking zone.
To the bus stop.
Oh, here we go again. Now Earlhoff is flashing more.
Apparent energy on display. This race is ending exactly how it started. Aggressive.
Osura is so close to the back of Earlhoff. This is coming down to the last corner of the race. Everything is riding on this final complex.
But stop ahead! Osura needs the inside.
He goes for the move. A final desperate lunge for P3. Side by side into the tight final turn. Contact, both off wide. White trying to pass.
Both of them on the run to the line. Unbelievable finish. And that's it.
Earlhoff just manages to scramble across the line for P3, then White in P4, then Osura P5. Bourne maintains P6 and Weepat. Thank you for joining us for what has
Been an absolutely thrilling, if utterly chaotic night of racing here at Spa. The cars are mangling up at the end. Laurent wins completely unchallenged. A stellar performance of focus and control in a race defined by the lack thereof. But the real drama was always lurking further back. Daniel Bourne, starting last, surviving contact and constant intimidation, has pulled off a fantastic P6 finish, demonstrating true racecraft and composure under fire. A memorable, if messy, night in the Ardennes. From Jolyon Palmer and myself, Alex Jacques, goodbye from Spa Francorchamps.